Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday, and what do we do every Wednesday? We do Budget Meal Wednesday. These meals are to be under $5 or less, and this is our wonderful hostess that always puts these videos together. She's an awesome channel and comes up with some great recipes and some great channels to join in. So get inspired to get out there and get some wonderful meals cooked and prepared. These meals I'm going to share with you today are going to be two soups that are hearty, and it's like cooking like a peasant and eating like a queen. Both soups were really good. My potato and BabyBells were my favorite out of the two, but both soups tasted fine. My husband said he liked the pasta one best. So I hope you give them both a try and tell me which one you like the best. You know what time it is? It's Wednesday, and what do we do every Wednesday? We do budget meals. Oh yeah. And we are going to be making two different kinds of mushroom soups with the same base. So we're starting out with 2 cans of chicken broth, and we're putting it in a large saucepan. We are going to add 2 cans of water to that. And then we're going to take 1 can of Campbell's French onion soup, put it in that same base, 1 can of golden mushroom, still in the same base. We're going to combine it and we're going to let it slowly simmer on the stove, getting all the flavors to match and marry in together. We are going to add some seasonings on top of that to give a little more flavor to our base. And we're also going to be using in both of these soups BabyBell mushrooms. And I think you're going to be amazed at how little we really spent, and we are going to have a lot of good, yummy soup. We are going to put a little bit of butter in here also to give a little more flavor to our seasonings that we have added to this base. Italian seasonings add a lot of flavor, and as you see, I used quite a bit. I did put some garlic powder in here also to give a lot more flavor. We have our garlic, herbs, and black pepper and sea salt and Italian seasonings. That's the only 2 seasonings I used. I didn't put any salt in here because the soups already have salt. To put in our soup, we are going to be using 6 small potatoes cut up. These are going to be enough for 4 bowls of soup. And along with the small potatoes, we are going to cut up a half an onion and 3 celery stalks. We're going to put them in a fry pan with some butter and fry them up, for we will have a savory meal, as you can see. And we made this up fresh each day for what we did. The base we made ahead of time, and that way when we went to make the soup, everything was fresh. It hadn't been setting in the liquid. And I fried up the potatoes, the onions, the celery, and I also put some green onions along with the white onions in this also to give just a little bit different flavor. And when I was done cooking this, then I poured over my warm base that I already pre-made. So that soup was fresh with our mushrooms. It was very, very wonderful tasting, and that butter added a lot of extra flavor. And that's how I put this potato and mushroom soup together. And it was super yummy, and everyone enjoyed it. I was really happy with it, and I thought these potatoes, fully seasoned with Italian seasonings and garlic. So everything was very, very flavorful and good, and I used no extra salt except what was in those cans of soup, because we're trying to cut down on salt. And as you can see, the soup looks wonderful, does it not? Yummy, yummy. And we had 2 full bowls each for this soup. And it cost me $1.25 a bowl. And this was a pretty generous bowl, because this is a pretty big bowl that we're eating in. So let me know what you think of this soup and how I went about making the base first, and then each day I would put something different and fresh to make it taste different. I cut up 3 stalks of celery for each of these soups and a half an onion for each one. And I fried up a half a package of BabyBell mushrooms to go in each one of these soups the day we ate them. So the broth was made ahead, but the actual soup was made fresh each day. And it was quick and easy thing to put together because all I was frying up was the onions, the celery, and I cut it small so it was quick and easy to fry up for each one of my meals. So the actual time of putting the soup together probably wasn't any more than probably 30 minutes or less because the broth was pre-made ahead of time. So when I put everything and mixed it together, everything was well blended and had great flavor and taste. I cooked my celery and my onion for each of these soups in butter. And after I got my celery and my onion cooked, I put it in with my half of the broth for each one of the soups. And I cooked half of my BabyBells the same way for each of the soups, for it was fresh. The only thing that I did different between the two soups is one of them had pasta and one had potatoes. I personally like the one with potatoes better, but I'm telling you, it really tasted good and everything was fresh. Those mushrooms only were cooked for just a short time in the fry pan, then mixed in with the soup broth that I already made, so the mushrooms were fresh each day. They weren't setting in a pan overcooking, and I really, really loved them. And here's the pasta with the celery, and it was great. And here is our wonderful base soup. This was just the broth. We didn't add any of the vegetables or anything in it, just the broth. And then we made the soup separate each day, so the soup itself was very, very fresh. As you can see by this bowl of soup, with the broth put in there, we put our mushrooms, celery, and onions and pasta in it. And as you can see, it was very full of pasta and, of course, plenty of mushrooms. And I don't know if you can see the onions and celery, but it's in there too. So it gave a lot of flavor, and each day the mushrooms were fresh, and I only cooked the mushrooms and the celery and onions, and I just poured the broth warm over the soup, and it was fresh and wonderful each day. We made a total of 4 bowls, generous bowls of each of these soup, and it came to a total of $1.25 a bowl. I thought we got in there pretty good, and I thought I was doing a great job on my budget meal. What do you think? Thank you so much for coming back and seeing how you can cook like a peasant. Simple foods like potatoes, pasta, mushrooms, and a couple cans of soup and a couple of cans of chicken broth made a wonderful, wonderful meal. And I'm telling you, you're going to feel like you were eating something in a high-end restaurant, and everything was fresh. And that's the most important thing. Look at how good that soup looks. Oh my gosh, I loved it. So give it a try. My budget meal, under $5. These were $1.25 a bowlful, and I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope I didn't confuse you by the way I put it together.